Secrets that you're taking to the grave, viewer edition. Hey folks, content warning for this whole video. A number of these stories deal with subject matter relating to S assault or R, child abuse and molestation, and yeah, just some rough stories. So if you're sensitive to that, I just want you to be prepared, or you may even just want to skip this video. Story 1. I wish I saw this on Reddit so I could submit my story, but I'll just share it on here, I guess. I got good news for you. I was in 4th grade, I believe, and some guy said Roblox is better than Minecraft, and Minecraft sucks. Keep in mind, this was when Minecraft was in its early days, 2012 to 2013. I think Minecraft is still a work in progress. Soon it'll be a big game, I'm sure, I say. Him, being the little chump he was, he says, "Bro, shut up. Roblox is the best game ever." This is where I snap at this little brat who completely disregards my statement, and I say snarkily, "Minecraft is better than Roblox, and Roblox sucks penis." And I added the penis part to make the insult hurt more. A girl tattled on me, and I got a note sent to my parents. However, I had a plan forming in my head. I told my parents the story, except with small changes to make the Roblox kid look worse than he actually was, and that he was the one who said penis first, and I just returned the same insult. My parents believed me, and they got really mad at the kid. So mad to the point where they decided to go up to the school and shed some light on the situation. Turns out it worked, and the Roblox kid ended up getting a worse punishment than I did. That was the moment where I found out I was scarily good at lying and deceiving. I never really used this talent going forward because I decided if my parents found out I lied once, it would be like they couldn't trust me with anything anymore. I mean, I don't know, that was 10 years ago now, and 4th grade, that makes you probably an adult now. I think you could come clean to that. I don't think you got to take that one to your grave, you know? It's not great to lie about stuff like that, but yeah, no, I think you're fine. Story 2. That a close relative who I still have a very loving relationship with has repeatedly molested me at a very young age. They think I was too young to remember. For years, and especially recently, they kept asking me these really odd, probing questions to get me to talk about it, but I always pretend I have no idea what they're getting at. I've been watching them like a hawk around children, but they don't really have any access to kids, and they clearly turned down the very few chances they might have gotten. This is the only part I was ever concerned about, and let's just say I'm not concerned anymore. Personally, the act never stood out as anything significant to me until I learned what that was. Even then, the realization of what they did came very gradually. I can't bring myself to hate them. They're near and dear to me. They've given me so much and even saved my life. They've gone the extra mile for me, believed in me, made my life genuinely great, and they're just the sweetest person to everyone. I can't bring myself to talk about it with them. I most definitely couldn't tell anyone else, and it's not like people would believe me if I did. This is the first time I spoke of this. So I'm glad that it hasn't had a traumatic impact on you. However, just because you don't see them doing this to any other children doesn't mean they aren't. It may just mean that they're very good at covering it up because they put forward that facade. You know, people see them as this wonderful, sweet person who would never do that. And it worked well enough that no one realized this person did it to you, so maybe you don't know that someone's doing it that they're doing it to someone else. I'm not saying that's for sure what's happening, but folks, these kind of things should be reported. These people have a problem and they can hurt others. They can traumatize children or worse. It's not okay. You do whatever you think is right, but I think that it should be reported personally. Story 3. Back around high school is where my alcoholism started. My parents locked their beer and wine in the garage since my brothers would always get into it and drink literally all of it. One morning, I snuck into my mom's room while she was sleeping and went and copied the key. I drank my butt off for like 2 years straight. And they definitely did notice booze missing from time to time. They always blamed it on my oldest brother, which I found hilarious because he's a grade A a-hole. He actually got arrested several times because they would confront him about it, and he had bad anger issues, so it'd turn into a shouting match. Yeah, I'm probably going to hell for that, but man, was it funny. Honestly, the guy needed to be in jail for a bit. He was about 30 years old at the time and hadn't worked a job in years, living in my parents' basement. Jail helped him out quite a bit and gave him something to think about. Story 4. I felt for that poor guy constantly getting set up with people by his mom. I'm bi, and that sort of thing still makes me uncomfortable when my parents go trying to set me up with their friends' kids. Never mind that most of those kids I've known since we were little, and I have no interest in boning someone I've played with since a pool party that happened when we were 2 years old. Being friends with your partner is good. Being that close feels icky to me. I mean, come on, Mom. Malia is pretty much my sister. I have zero interest in her, and I'm 99% sure she has zero interest in me. You'd have more luck getting me to bone my best friend. At least she wasn't there for every single time I ever embarrassed myself as a child. Sometimes, well-meaning parents are trigger-happy for grandkids and have no respect for the parents of the future grandkids. Story 5. Think I'd win, but not taken to my grave but my dad's. He was no BSer and told my brother and I this story and swore us never to tell. Dan ran a hospital lab, and one day the head maintenance came to complain about his staff. When cleaning up around the biohaz incinerator, he found a human limb in a trash bag, not sure if he said an arm or leg. Since the lab was the last stop for such things, he was ticked and told Dad needed to let his staff know to treat biohaz more carefully. Dad stopped him and he said he did not remember any such amputations recently. Guy went pale. Dad checked the hospital records and found no corresponding procedure for the prior 3 years. He called the head of maintenance back to a closed-door meeting where they agreed to keep the secret, since the evidence had been incinerated and the head of maintenance would lose his job if it came out. Dad's been gone for over a decade, so he did keep the secret except to my brother and I. Story 6. When I was like 10, I think, I was taking my lunch to school. My dad had these protein packs he takes to work, and I was rushing to get my things together. I grabbed one, not realizing it was the last one. That night, I got yelled at because of it. I lied and said I didn't take it. I was in tears. It got to the point my dad went into my room to check if I had taken it, but I had thrown the trash away in the cafeteria. They didn't give me a punishment, and I think they bought the lie. I'm still scared to take the last of some foods because of it. My old friends say it's stupid to be scared about it, but I was a kid that was being yelled at. It wasn't like my parents hadn't taken the last of my food or drinks. They still do to this day. My BFF says it's stupid they yelled at me for it, especially since the protein pack was all I ate that day since I'd been struggling with eating enough. Okay, yeah, I gotta agree with your friends that it's awful that your parents would yell at you for something like that. You should not feel at all bad about that. Like, seriously, especially if they're like taking your snacks and food and stuff. You needed to be fed. You had trouble eating. Like, there should be no anger from your parents about this. Like, maybe they should be like, hey, I was saving that for my workout, you know, but let's figure out a way to make sure you're getting food. Like, no, this should not be on you. This should not be a secret that you have to keep. You did nothing wrong. Story 7. Guess I will take this secret to cremation grounds that I used to overwrite my low marks on school test papers just to get away from my parents' scolding. I know it's a very lame secret, but back then I was a kid who was very conscious of her image as a studious, hardworking student. Imagine getting a 51 out of 80 in a math test. I would have been in great trouble. I also felt really bad for lying to my parents, so much so that I couldn't sleep at night and cried silently for being such a freaking loser. It motivated me to work harder next time, but the fear of failure and chasing only marks and not knowledge made me severely depressed. Story 8. In 5th grade, my friends at an athletic carnival started chanting, "We will R you." Some kids told on us, and then the next day the teacher put us in a different room and tried to make us rat ourselves out. That didn't work, and they still punished us without reason or info, and we kept getting calls from home, and I helped make us innocent and blamed a 5th grader started it. He didn't. It made us innocent, but they still punished us. After a few days of detention, the teacher let me off, but not my friends, and gave me no compensation. All in all, I know too much about the law for a 7th grader. Story 9. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. No cancer, just some blood vessels that formed funny. My parents think that I'd have one headache, then pass out. I was having these massive, painful headaches every 45 minutes or so and had 3 to 4 before finally passing out. I never told them how many I was having because I didn't want them to worry. And the time I hopped on my biofather's computer and my name was in the search bar of an adult site, I was 16 at the time. Story 10. My dad got deported from Mexico during a college spring break and was formally told to never come back. My mom and I asked him for years what he did. He never answered us. He passed away. He also filled out my absentee ballot while I was abroad, so I genuinely don't know and can't ask if I voted for Trump or Biden. It had been a handy clemency card in many situations. Okay, so yeah, I guess your dad took those secrets to his grave, which, sorry for your loss, but also, he filled out your absentee ballot for you and you don't know who he voted for you and stuff? Like, I know it's just one vote, but that feels... I would be very upset about that personally, so I don't know. Story 11. Got drunk at a party and hooked up. Woke in the morning next to my stepsister. I was 16 and she was 17 with no sign of any protection being used. 3 months later, she's getting told by her mom to get an abortion or get out of the house. She got the abortion, and we never spoke of it again. Story 12. I can also whistle the Android text thing, and the old Spice tune, the old Steamboat Willie tune, the tune that plays in Disney movies when you see the castle, the 12th Century Fox tune, the Twitter notification sound, Astronomia, Coffin Dance, Alan Walker, the Spectre instrumental. I can sound like the birds you hear in horror movies and probably a few things I forgot about. Story 13. One that I'll take to my grave is my first friend with benefits. He and I were falling for each other, and had he not moved away, I'm pretty sure he and I would have been boyfriends. I've looked him up online, and he's married with a daughter and happy. I guess at that age it was more experimentation for him, but I still remember that time fondly. I am sorry that you do have to keep that a secret, because, yeah, I guess bringing that up with this friend and everything might make things kind of uncomfortable. And for some people, yeah, at that age it's experimentation, or maybe it's not for him, and maybe he's lying to himself, but that's not your place to judge. That's his journey to figure out. But I do hope you're doing okay, and there's nothing wrong with remembering back to those first crushes, especially as teenagers. We feel those emotions so strongly, like, even as an adult, when you can go like, it never would have worked out, it was teenage, you know, I would never go for a relationship like that now. You still can't help how you felt at the time. Story 14. The last one about the uncle is like my uncle who passed away in 2009. He was my favorite uncle and would let me take over his place when I was a kid and watch tunes and play on his computer. I think he was lonely. He was closeted and never had anyone that I knew of. We only found out after that he was gay because he had loads of gay adult entertainment. His siblings, youngest is 70 years old, did not appreciate it. Story 15. I kissed a girl. I like boys. I was 7 to 8. I was playing spin the bottle at a sleepover with a lot of girls. It was only a small kiss, so I don't count it as my first kiss. Now I have a problem if I am still considered straight because I like boys in real life, but I kissed her and kind of liked it, and I think she did too. So, like, I am mostly straight, I think? I'm going to take a guess based on this story and how I'm reading it that you're probably a bit younger and don't feel like you have to put a big label on yourself. You can still figure this stuff out. I was still figuring this stuff out in my 20s. I didn't come to terms with being pansexual until I was about 26, maybe 27 years old. Like, I struggled with that. I genuinely kept telling myself, no, I'm straight, just, you know, a couple guys, or that, like, it's okay to not have to label that stuff and just, you know, let yourself figure those things out. That goes for you or anyone else watching this who might be struggling. Trying to give yourself a label that you're not sure about is just going to cause more confusion for yourself a lot of the time. Story 16. The paddle is not a hand bum smacking bottom spanking. It is having your backside beaten with a flat piece of wood with a handle, think skinny chopping board or paddle hairbrush without bristles. It hurts way more than a smacked bum, slapped butt, bottom spanking. Story 17. Dad, this damn dog crapped on the floor. Son, Dad, at dog, I thought we potty trained you. Son, Dad, peed off. What? Son, I crapped on the carpet. Story 18. Secret that I will be taking to the grave, except for here. I once got into an argument with a guy over transphobia. Where did it happen? A Discord server focusing on a stuffing fetish visual novel game. I may be a degenerate, but god damn it, I've got standards. Story 19. I became friends with the two smartest guys in my AP US History class in high school and sat behind them so I could cheat off their tests without them knowing. Story 20. I drank beer unintentionally when I was 10 and passed out, got sober, and nobody ever found out I snuck the empty can of beer in the trash bag after drinking it, and the can was quite tall, so yeah. I mean, at 10 years old, I don't think that's probably your fault. And even if it was your fault, I mean, you're 10 years old. I feel like you don't really have to keep any secrets from when you're that age because everyone makes mistakes and does dumb stuff at that age. Story 21. I drew BDSM hentai on my high school crushes. They're still there in my homework folder. This is the first time I ever talked about this. Story 22. No one knows, but I cheated in every school I have been with. I cheated through elementary, high school, and even college. I cheated in the final exams. Story 23. It's a small one. Mom always tells me not to pick my injuries, but I do because I like the taste of my blood. I know it's creepy and gross, but I can't help it. Story 24. We have metal vents on the floor in our carpeted bedrooms. I peed on the one in my room. Okay, yeah, probably take that one to your grave, but first, please clean the vent and inside of it. Story 25. Me and my brother both agree whoever dies first deletes the other's search history. Story 26. I broke a bunch of my siblings' tablets, and I successfully got out of the blame. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.